This episode is presented by Thea Pharma Canada. The content in this episode has not been edited or influenced by Thea. Hello and welcome back to the 2020 podcast, Canada's #1 optometry podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, you will already tell that this is a very different setup than the usual podcast episodes because we are at Vision Expo East in New York City at the Javits Center. I'm so excited. It's been an amazing couple of days. The energy is always so incredible here. And most importantly, I get to sit down with this amazing person in person. I see I already poked you once. Sitting right here so close. Dr. Claudine Courey. And Dr. Claudine Courey is the founder of the Eye Drop Shop. She is a practicing optometrist, of course, overseeing 3 dry eye specialty practices. She's the mother of 2 beautiful children and a wonderful human being. And I'm so excited to finally sit down and chat and just kind of go through stuff together. And actually, maybe I'll line this up right now. Claudine and I are going to be doing a series of 3 episodes over the next kind of year or so. I don't know, 6 months, 9 months. We'll kind of spread it out and 3 different kind of topic discussions. And today's topic is going to be a lot more kind of focused on the entrepreneurship, business, and that kind of stuff, and the struggles of working in the profession. And in the future episodes, we'll talk a little bit more about dry eyes specifically, and even more excitingly, beauty and how that impacts eyes and dry eyes. So anyways, enough of a lead up. Claudine, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't believe I'm finally here.
It's
this
amazing.
Is so exciting.
And the best way, like we've been trying to kind of get this lined up for so long, but to be able to do it here in New York is so cool.
In person.
In person. And I'm going to just keep plugging these, like throw these little plugs out. But big thanks to Thea for partnering with Claudine and I on these podcasts, on these episodes, so we can bring this content to you. And we'll be saying some nice things about them at some point along the way, I'm sure. So Claudine, tell us about yourself. Where'd you go to school? And you work in Montreal now.
Yes, so I went to the University of Montreal, which is the only French-speaking optometry school actually in the world. So,
in the world?
Yeah, in the world.
Oh, crazy.
Very proud of that. It was an amazing school. I was like part of the furniture there because I did my schooling and then residency and then master's all at University of Montreal.
Amazing.
And once I graduated, I still work in private practice, and I also work obviously doing dry eye because I love it. It's really something that I went into sort of through the lens of scleral lenses. And so that's kind of how I got into dry eye, because I started fitting scleral lenses on dry eye patients, and that's kind of how, that was like the window.
So let's talk about that, because I've seen colleagues do that, and it seems pretty cool. I actually, we're just getting a topographer in our office, like right now, pretty much, and we're going to start trying to do a bit more of that. Sclerals for different things, including dry eye. So tell me, how did you even start doing scleral for dry eye, and then how well does it work?
It works so well, and currently it's kind of like one of the last lines of treatment, but I've moved it up a little bit because it really does help so many patients, and it's very straightforward to fit. You know, it's not like our cones or postgraphs or pellucids or anything like that. It's typically your spherical cornea, and the patient's eye is just basking in eye drops all day, so it really does have like a huge impact. So that's kind of how it started. My friend was working in dry eye. She's like, hey, will you do, because I did my residency in scleral lenses, she's like, hey, will you come do this? And that's kind of how it all took off on that run.
So interesting. And so you were saying, I've heard that it's usually kind of considered more of a last resort. Or if somebody's got really significant dry eye or keratitis or something. So you're using it as an earlier stage. Where does it kind of fit into your algorithm?
I would say I just bring it up sooner because I'm comfortable doing it, because that's what I trained in. So let's say if I see that the patient has significant SBK and also wears glasses and wants a contact option, I won't wait till the end. I'll say, hey, what if we try this option? And I'll explain sort of the pros of it. And if they jump on board, then I'll just end up doing a lot more of it a lot sooner.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what do you kind of expect? This is supposed to be a bit of our conversation next time, right? But we're delving a little bit into the dry eye, because I didn't know about the scleral thing. I find that really intriguing, because I have patients who are sitting in my chair now. A lot of times I've tried a lot of stuff. It's not working that well. And I'll mention, this is a thing that we could do. I don't do it right now, so I'll probably refer you off to somebody else who could do it. Is it like effective enough that I should be sending them out or trying to do it myself in my own office?
If you're interested in it, then you could definitely do it. You know, it seems overwhelming, but it's not to fit a scleral lens, especially, and this goes also throughout dry eye. Your best resource is the representative of the company.
Yeah.
I adore reps and I adore speaking with them. They're professionals in their own field. And so a rep will come in and sort of teach everything there is to know. So it's very doable if you're interested in it,
Right.
you know. Otherwise, I'm a huge believer in referring to my colleagues. I do that all the time for other specialties, and I find it fun. And I think that's sort of how, I don't know, I like the way the profession is going in that way.
Yeah, I think that inter-profession
Yeah.
sort of referral is becoming more common. I think we're getting a bit more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
One of the things that like I talk about in one of my lectures is that collaboration versus competition.
Right.
And I think we've had too much of a mindset, or we kind of tend to fall into that mindset a little bit of a competitive, like, I don't want to send you my patient because you might steal that patient. But as we start to realize that there's a benefit, it's all for the benefit of the patient, and we start to get those patients coming back to us looking and feeling better. I think that's a really important aspect of practicing.
Exactly. I really, as far as the competition, this goes for clinic, for eye drop shop, for everything. I feel like there's enough eyes to go around. You know, there's enough of everything, and I'm just not that nature. So, you know, I think that if we do have a specialty that we love, and my friend has a specialty she loves, and I don't do it as much, I'll just refer to her, and then, you know, it'll sort of come back with another case, and it's fun.
Right. Yeah, it kind of comes full circle, right?
Yeah.
She'll think about the specialty that you offer.
Sure.
But also I found patients do appreciate that. Like, you're going beyond what they're expecting.
Right.
Like, I'm going to refer you to a colleague who's better at this than I am, or has expertise in this area.
Yeah.
And assuming everything works out and the results come, I think it looks good on both of you. It reflects well on both doctors, and building that. So we're actually trying to build out a bit more of a referral network for ourselves and these different things. But we did take a bit of a tangent there on the scleral lenses. We'll talk a bit more about that next time, I think, when we dive really deep into dry eye, because again, you specialize in that. You talk a lot about that. So we are going to really dive into expertise of dry eye and the different modalities and everything. But for today, as I mentioned, I really want to talk a lot about entrepreneurship and business, and especially the eye drop shop is something that's just remarkable that you've built.
Thank you.
And has been growing and has been getting a lot more awareness, and there's exciting partnerships coming up.
Yes.
So tell me about how it began.
Perfect. So Eye Drop Shop began because there was really a need in the market for our patients to have access to the products they wanted. So for example, if we use Dialaz Duo as an example, I would prescribe, so I prescribe everything that we do in the dry eye practice. So I would prescribe Dialaz Duo, and then the patient, even if they would get it the first time in your office, after the first bottle, where are they going? You know, sometimes they just can't get back to your clinic.
Right.
They don't have the, you know, they want it to be delivered. They want easy access. And then what happens? Either they kind of go to the pharmacy and pick up whatever, and then they end up back in your chair saying they're not feeling better, right? So the whole point is that we select our treatments specifically for our patients, and we want them to stay on it for a reason. So it actually started with the whole Thea line, to be quite honest. I decided to put all of that. I said, okay, what am I going to do? I can't be considered a dry eye specialist and my patients not have access to the best of the best. So kind of did it myself at the beginning, put it all online.
That's amazing.
And it grew and grew and grew from there.
Wow.
And now we have like over 150 products, and we're shipping across Canada. We have another one in the US. Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's so cool. So one of the questions I like to ask people when somebody started a company like this from scratch, you had an idea. So many people have ideas.
Yes.
What's the step? If you can fill the gap between having the idea and actually setting up the online, do you know what, like, was there like, you were just so motivated, why you versus me or someone else who was basically going through the exact same thing?
Yeah.
What was it in you that kind of pushed you over the edge to take that first step?
It's exactly what you just said. It was, why not me? That's all.
Yeah.
You know, like, why not try? Why not give it a shot? Because I knew the end goal was to help my patients, right? That they were going to get something that they needed in an efficient way and in a way that they were going to be happy and more, you know, practical for their daily life. So I figured, why not give it a shot? And I think that's kind of how I approach a lot of things, you know, like,
I like that.
Why not? Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. That's
all.
all.
I love that.
It was like just as simple as that. It wasn't even deeper than that. I think this is a great idea, and I'm gonna try it out.
And I think it's so funny that you simplified it so much, or you think about it so simplistically, is that we often overthink it. We think ourselves to death. We outthink ourselves from ideas like that. I think that's a big one. Is like, oh, I could put this online and sell it to my patients. But what, I don't know. And then next thing you know, it's like 3 months later and
you're onto something else.
yeah, or somebody else has now done it, right?
Yes.
So what did it look like in the beginning? So you had a few eye drops that you were selling, and like how would people would go on your clinic website or the eye drop shop website?
Yeah, so it was
and then
always,
you were boxing things up yourself. Like what?
Oh, 100%. I have done every single thing that we do in this company. That's now a larger company with you know, a whole team of people, because I obviously cannot do this alone. So I'm very grateful. But I've done every single thing that's involved in the company myself. I think it's important. We always see this side, right? We always see like, let's say me now, but like me rolling up my sleeves, boxing up the boxes at night after my kids have gone to bed, and then like bringing them to the post office, like that was me. And like me being the one calling and following up on a package, you know, that there's a lot of work that goes in it. And I think we do sort of a disservice by only kind of glorifying the fun parts.
I agree.
And not showing that it takes a lot of work. And that's a big portion of it. It's a lot of time. You can't just like get it. You have to put in the work. And so it really looked like me doing all these things by myself. And then at a certain point, once you grow a little bit more, well, then you're able to bring someone on board who hopefully knows more than you about the topic and let them run with it, right? And trust them to kind of go and take on that area.
Well, that's another difficult step to take, is to kind of actually let go of the control a little bit and hand it off to somebody else. But I want to go back to those early days again.
For sure.
Because you're right. I don't think we spend enough time talking about that and explaining or you know, visualizing what that time actually felt like. What would you say was one or a couple of significant challenges that you felt at that time? And were there days where you felt like, why am I doing this? Like, it's not really worth it, or like potential barriers that you were kind of overcoming at that time? What's up, guys? I just want to take a minute to quickly thank our partner for this episode, Thea Pharma Canada. Thea is the world leader in preservative-free eye care products. Thea's flagship product, Thelose Duo, has two core ingredients, trehalose and sodium hyaluronate, which work synergistically to provide clinically proven results. But effective dry eye treatment isn't just about drops. Thea's Blephiclean antimicrobial lid wipes ensure lid hygiene for your patients as they focus on total eye health. The newest exciting product in the Thea dry eye portfolio is a lysosomal spray called Zaspray. It soothes, hydrates, and lubricates eyes that are itchy, red, and irritated due to allergies. Be sure to contact your Thea territory rep to learn more and see how you can access these amazing products. You can also learn more at theapharma.ca. And now back to our episode with Dr. Claudine Courey.
I'm going to be honest. So like business is in my sort of family's blood. So it was in my blood from the beginning. And every time I get like energized by any kind of business endeavor. So anything that involves a challenge or a problem, I find that fun to have to resolve it. So I don't really think, if I go back, I never really had those. Definitely you have like doubts in yourself in life, but in the business, I always just kept focusing on why we were doing this, you know, and the fact that we were getting positive feedback, and my patients and the reviews and everything like that was coming back. So grateful. You know, we were shipping to northern Canada where people had no access, and we were doing all kinds of things that that's what kind of kept me always just like motivated and to keep going. And it was always fun, and it still continues to be fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's incredible that you're able to help people in places like that where they have such limited access. Those are like, I feel like that's a really meaningful. It's one thing to be like, oh yeah, patients who live around my area, that's fine. But somebody out there who's really needing it and doesn't have access to it, that's really cool.
For sure.
I did an e-commerce lecture. I give one, and I did that today.
Awesome.
And I tell people that you can't just open up shop and expect people to come and buy stuff from you. Like, you can't even do that in the physical world anymore, let alone the digital world. So how did you do that? How did you bring people in the first place to start bringing traffic to your website?
So in the first place, it really was my patients. Then it was word of mouth. So you started seeing like orders coming a little bit from the surrounding areas of where we practice that weren't my patients. So it was like the patient's cousin or the patient's mom or whatever. And then following that, like I said, once we grow, we're able to sort of bring a specialist on board who knows more than me, and I kind of just let them run. That's my style. When somebody works in our team and they know what they're doing, then they get to go and do what they know. So we did bring on a specialist who was able to kind of work on those ads and things like that. And then you got to do the Instagram and the TikTok and the, you know, all those things that maybe is not the comfort zone. At least it wasn't mine. But you know that the purpose you're doing it is to get the message out for patients so that the patients can get treated and they can feel better. So you kind of like,
that's amazing.
Do that.
And so actually that's such a great point, that starting point, it started with your patients and it grew from there. And that's actually the same point, you know, that I make in the lecture is like, look, we're not right out the gate. We're not trying to necessarily reach someone across the country.
No.
We should start by extending our services to our current patient base, right?
Exactly.
We got an email bank of our database of patient emails. Let them know you have this service available. And then once you get those people coming through, you can start to grow it. So it's amazing to see that that's actually what you did, and it's worked out well.
Yeah, exactly. And I run obviously a completely e-commerce business, right? But I believe that it's not just e-commerce. It has to be in clinic as well. And these two things have to mesh together so that this is the cycle of the patient. So if you think of the patient, they see you, you prescribe your drop, the patient will purchase it from you, and then you get those touch points during the year because you have this online platform to allow them to engage with you, right? Your patients want to engage with you during the year. They want to know from you. So let's make it easy for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about TikTok now.
All right.
I'm taking people along your eye drop shop journey. Okay, we did the beginning. You were boxing things up. You had your patients coming and buying. It's grown. And then you had to do your own marketing to grow it, which was like Instagram and TikTok. And on a previous episode of my podcast not too long ago, I was talking to Carly Rose, who has like a massive TikTok channel, right? And she's just a wonderful person. And I was saying, you know, she was saying it's gamifiable. Like if you understand the rules, sometimes they change the rules, but if you understand for the most part what it is that TikTok wants, then you'll show up on the algorithm more. And you came to mind, right? As I was chatting, I was like, do you know Claudine? Because Claudine started her TikTok channel just recently, and she's got like 20,000 followers. And it's because you're like consistently, you're putting out content that people want to see. Fine, some videos get 10 likes, but others get 500 likes or thousands of likes. And it's so cool that you've just stuck with it so consistently. And so tell me about that experience.
That was an experience. It continues to be an experience because I'm on TikTok. But once again, I think I do things and always just keep end goal in mind. That's sort of how I operate. So yeah, am I sometimes like feeling silly or whatever? Sure, of course. If you watch the TikToks, you'll know what I mean. But do I think that, again, when I read the comments and they're saying like, oh, thank you, I went to go to get my eyes checked, and I was scared about this, and this really helped me, then I'm like, okay, it's really worth it. Because for the amount of me being ridiculous versus if I could help one person, then it's worth it to me, you know?
That's very true. I'm not a big TikTok person. I do have a couple of videos that did do well on TikTok, and like I have like pretty much not produced anything new on TikTok since then. I was like, oh, I had a couple big ones. What's your best video on TikTok?
Oh,
best like engagement or
best
whatever?
Engagement? I've had a couple. One is probably like the Eyecare, like taking pressure kind of thing. People.
Oh yeah.
Then I did one on eyelid twitch. I did one on like. Different ones get like they blow up. You never know.
You just never know. But you stick with it, and it's helped you grow the channel.
Because it's education, in my opinion. Despite the funniness of it, behind every TikTok, there's a message that I'm putting out there, and it's essentially, your eyes are so important. Go see your eye doctor. This is, you know, something that you should be doing every year, and just getting that message out and just bringing people back to their doctor's office if they hadn't thought about it, you know?
Right. No, that's excellent. You're educating and you got a call to action and all of those, like to go in and get your eyes checked. So have you gotten patients that you've seen in person, and do you, as far as you can track it, have you gotten sales on Eye Drop Shop through social media?
So patients, yes, they'll find me on TikTok and then kind of book an exam, and it's so fun and they're so nice, and it's great to have patients that way. And then in Canada, we can't kind of like link anything necessarily to a post.
Oh, right.
So it would be hard to track, but I'm sure there's more traffic on the site due to it.
That's
awesome.
Awesome. Okay. And I would say one of your favorite posts is the one you did with your sister. Because
Yeah,
I think that was the post where everybody just found out that you have a sister.
Oh, she's the best. She's the most incredible human being.
It was also an optometrist.
She's also an optometrist.
And
She's
looks,
here.
Are you guys twins?
No, thank you very much.
Because you guys look a lot alike.
Thank you. I appreciate it. She's 9 years younger than me, so
Wow,
I always say
wow.
it's cool now while I look
She's
like
a
a twin. But in a couple years, I'll look much older, and it will not be
That's
cool
so
for
funny.
me. Yeah,
oh God, I'd
yeah.
like to meet her. If you get a
Oh yeah,
chance.
we're gonna for sure
Perfect.
hook it up. She's
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's incredible. She
Oh,
does
she's
dry
anything
eye
like
too,
Oh, good.
scleral lenses too. We did the
Oh,
whole same
cool.
thing. Yeah, she's my bestie.
Gosh. She's 9 years younger than you? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And she's an optometrist.
Yes.
I didn't know you've been practicing that long.
11.
Wow.
11
Crazy.
years. Yeah.
That's amazing. So, okay, back on topic here. Eye drop shop.
Yes.
Okay, so this is really the core of the topic is the discussion today is entrepreneurship. And especially within the profession, it's exciting that there's a lot of entrepreneurial spirit, I feel like, over the last 5 years or so. I've been seeing it a lot more. Eventually, I'd love for you to kind of share your message of like, if there's entrepreneurs out there who are starting out, what do you want them to learn? What do you want them to know from your journey? But before we get there,
Yes.
Eye Drop Shop now
Yes.
is growing, partnerships, exciting things going on. Tell me about that. Like, there's some cool stuff going on right now.
Yes, definitely. So we just constantly look for new ways to innovate and to help patients and also to work with colleagues. So the newest partnership, which I'm so excited about, is with a company called Auto, which is an incredible company. Have you heard of them?
I have, yeah.
And
Auto Optics?
Auto Optics,
okay, yeah,
exactly. Okay. So with this partnership, it'll allow any clinic to essentially have their own eye drop shop now.
Wow.
So the website will look like the clinic. They could set their own pricing. They could, have their patients order contacts and all the 150 drops. And the clinic has no risk, no stocking, nothing. It's just eye drop shop kind of slightly in the background doing all the dirty work for the clinic,
That's
doing the picking, packing, shipping, customer service. So we're so excited about that. I think that'll really change the game because now it makes it like a turnkey solution for every optometrist to provide that care and what their patients want. So like we were saying before, the patient gets it at their optometrist, and now they go directly on the optometrist website, not eye drop shop, not anyone else's. When I think about it, what would I want as an OD? I want my patients coming back to me thinking of my brand. So that's what we did. We heard that feedback, and then we said, let's go. So us and Auto are making it happen.
Amazing.
Yes.
Incredible. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's going to be huge. That's going to be huge. And definitely, I'm going to be looking into that.
Yes, absolutely.
In the very near future.
Yes.
Is that only in Canada or is that in the States?
All across North America,
Really?
Canada, the US. So we have two separate companies, right? So the US version of Eye Drop Shop contains only products that are FDA approved. The Canadian is only Health Canada. Everything is very clear. So the Auto and Eye Drop Shop partnership can happen in Canada, in the US.
Wonderful.
So it's open to all ODs.
Yeah.
And it just makes it simple. And that's all I want in my life. I'm like, can you make this easy for me?
That's all as I think optometrists, I don't know if it's maybe business people in general, but optometrists are like that very much. Like, give me the easiest, just press a button and it works kind of situation.
Also, like, we're doing other extremely important things, right? We're looking at retinal health. We're taking care of our patients. We don't want our tech who's currently, pre-testing or, doing anything at contact lens teach, be like, oh, sorry, hold on 1 second. I just got to go pack this box and I have to also call Canada Post and, oh, we're out of this inventory. I have to order, there's a whole back end scenario that's, difficult.
Yeah.
So we take that out of the way. And so
huge.
you could just say, we have an online store now.
Incredible. Wow. Congratulations. Okay. So how do we do that? Like, how do we start that process if somebody wants to bring Eye Drop Shop onto their website?
Yeah, so basically, if they want a website that looks completely like their own and they have contact lenses and Eye Drop Shop embedded in it, then it would be to open an account with Auto, and that'll allow them to get the whole slew of things.
And Auto does contact lens sales.
They do contact lens, and they create the website that looks, and they have reminders for your patient.
Right.
So your patient's out of contacts or drops, and Auto will send a reminder. So it's these little touch points during the year that keep your patient and your clinic, top of mind.
Yeah.
So if they need whatever else, if they need sunglasses, they're not going to go wherever. They'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go back to my OD and get it.
Because we're in contact. That's one of the biggest things with us is we're always like, well, how often does the average patient come back? We say, okay, what is it? It's 20 something months, right?
Right.
Or if they're contact lens wearer, it's like 17 months or something like that. But now we have the chance to be touching points every few months. Like, hey, you bought drops a little while ago, or you must be out by now. Would you like some more? Here's a link to buy more. Same with the contacts. You're in their text messages and emails and everything like that way more frequently and top of mind. So that's amazing.
And how nice is that to also not have to think about it? Like, we know when you're going to be out, so you just have to press a button and then it'll show up at your door and you just move on.
There we go.
Do whatever you were doing.
Easy. And is it, as far as I know, Auto does integrate with the EMR to some degree? Is that right?
I have to check the specifics on EMR, but I'd have to check the specifics on if they do.
That's a question for Alex.
Yes, that's a question for Alex. Okay, perfect. We'll talk to Alex.
I'll bring Alex on. He can answer.
Okay, that would be awesome. But
so what else with iDrop Shop is exciting you want to celebrate or share with us? Is there anything else going on or that's happened already perhaps that we should know about?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, I forgot to mention though, with the Auto and iDrop Shop, the clinic gets to set whatever profit they want to make, because that's a huge portion.
That's huge. That is.
So it's extremely huge. So they can kind of decide whatever margins they want, right? So they could set their price on all their drops. So they would make, if we're talking business-wise, the same as if they did it in clinic. On their own,
which is important
to do it.
Which is important because we've had that conversation before as we've thought on bringing on different sort of e-commerce options.
Right.
And in the past there were options where it's like we sell a drop for $30.
Exactly.
And on the e-commerce platform it's $28. And we're like, oh, that's not like, what are our patients going to think? And they're not going to want to buy from us in store if they see online it's cheaper. They're going to feel like we're trying to gouge them or something. Exactly. So it's nice and there's a consistency across the board.
Exactly.
Some people want to sell it for more, some less, whatever the case might be.
That's fine, but at least it matches your in-clinic price so that everything is cohesive.
Exactly.
But that's what I wanted to make sure that I mentioned because I had forgotten.
No, that's very important. Very important. Excellent. So what about this entrepreneurial journey then? What have you, like if you could distill it down to a couple of really key things that you've learned from setting up the website and boxing things up and taking it to the post office to bringing somebody on, now having multiple team members, creating these partnerships, all this way that you've come, what's like the first couple of things that come top of mind?
I think the most important thing is the team members and having members of your team that you trust and that are better than you in that field. I am not that type of person that wants to do it all. I feel like there's a purpose for that person to be part of our team in our company, and they should use their knowledge and run with it because it's an asset to our company. So I think that's a big one, to kind of not want to do it all yourself and kind of grind until like 6 a.m, but more trust who hire well and then trust them to do their job correctly, and they will do tenfold, as opposed to micromanaging people. So I think that's kind of one. Another would be to really prioritize sort of what you want to do. You could do 100 things, but right, there's always
I'm a little
100
ADD
things.
And that's it. I'm like, oh, this is a new thing. I want to try that now.
So prioritize, go for it, and to know, I mean, if you're in it, if you've got the grit to do it, that it involves hard work. And I don't think we should continue kind of saying like it's glamorous, all the time.
Right.
To know that, you're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to work hard. I mean, we're up from 5 a.m. with the kids, but like till dinner time, a little break, and then I'm working from 8 till 11 at night. Like it's constant, but I'm doing things that energize me. And I think the goal is that if you find something you want to do that gives you that, like, that feeling, that kind of like, inside, that spark, that you don't feel tired, even though it's like 10 at night.
Yeah. Kind of have that feeling right now, just so you know.
Yeah, you're exhausted.
I love doing this, but yes, tired from travel and everything at the conference. So I absolutely know that feeling.
When you've found what you love, and you feel it, and it just like you have an energy that you don't normally, like you can't associate with anything. And then if you have that, you'll have the energy to do it and to work hard. But no, it takes hard work.
It does. It absolutely does. Absolutely. I wanted to actually, before we get kind of closer to wrapping up, you talked about bringing team members on, staff on. Where in that journey did you determine, like, you had enough cash flow, you had enough volume? Like, what was it? Was there an obvious turning point for you, or was it something you thought about for a long time?
No, it kind of always just happened in the sense like when we grew to a certain point where we could. I mean, at the beginning you can't. It's a startup.
Yeah.
You know, you must do it all yourself because that's what you could. I mean, depending if you take on investors or not, we hadn't. So we did it all ourselves. And then as it grew, you kind of learn as you go, oh, I would really need help in this area. And the truth is, if I don't know, it just like found me. It's so weird and annoying of an answer, but it kind of like just when I needed it, these different people came into our, you know, surroundings, and then it just worked out that way. If you're open to it and you're kind of like looking, it just flows.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, that's okay. If that's the answer, you know, you put out the energy, you are looking for the cues, and perhaps you're more intuitive than me, you know, who's kind of like, I don't know, no, not trying to say that, you know, but like actually, like sometimes it's a little harder to see, but can't take anything away from that, right? Some people have a knack for these things, and that's great if that's the case for you, and it's really nice to see that it's grown that way. Where can people find you on like TikTok and Instagram or wherever? Where can people find you? Where can they find like more out about the Eyedrop Shop and all this kind of thing?
So for Eyedrop Shop, it's eyedropshop.ca in Canada, eyedropshop.com in the US. If an OD is interested in having their own sort of link or just their link, we're going to talk about this next time, but they could have their own link just to the beauty side of the website, because some ODs already have a website. So that's another sort of option. And they could just reach out to me. I obviously speak to all ODs myself. I just find it so much fun. I love connecting and I enjoy it. So they could write me personally at my email, which we could link, or, you know, just my personal email, which I could give out gladly. And we could just chat and I could help everyone out. We'll put like
Claudine's all personal information in the show notes, in the podcast notes or wherever. You'll see email or website links or whatever.
Perfect.
At the end of every podcast, I like to ask 2 questions. You listen to the podcast, so you know what
I do. I'm a fan. I feel like I'm on Oprah right now. I am on the Oprah of optometry. Like, I've made it. Do I just stop here? Like, am I done?
Get out of here.
Yeah, I'm serious.
I'm leaving.
Like, I'm with like Harvey. Like, what am I doing here? No?
That's amazing.
You agree. He knows.
You're too kind.
He knows.
You're too kind. I can't take a compliment. Thank you.
There you go.
The 2 questions I ask everybody at the end of the 2 questions I ask everybody at the end of the podcast. All right. Number 1 is if we could go back, hop in a time machine and go back to a point in your life where you were struggling.
Yeah.
That was a difficult time. You're welcome to share that if you're comfortable sharing that time. But more importantly, what advice would you give to young Claudine at that time?
Okay. Well, let's keep it to eyes. And I feel like I studied day in, day out. And I like really, everyone was doing everything and I did like nothing at that point. I just really had committed to becoming like, you know, the best that I could be. So in school and stuff. And so I would say that if there's students who kind of feel that pain right now, who might be listening, that it's so worth it. And the little amount of time you sacrifice, because you always got to sacrifice at some point in time. You either pay now, you pay later, right?
That's true, yeah.
So the little amount of time that you sacrifice, it will pay off in the future. And this is the most beautiful profession. And I'm so grateful and blessed to be part of it for real. And look, you could do so many things with it. It's just incredible. So I think I would say that everything's a phase, and the good is good and the not so good is not so good, but everything passes, and to just keep going. It'll be okay.
That's awesome. You just reminded me of a quote. You said pay now or pay later. It reminded me of a quote I heard recently. Was, if you think the cost of hard work is high, wait until you get the bill for regret.
There you go. Yeah.
Right. I think that was a pretty powerful one.
It's so powerful.
That one stuck with me. So the last question I like to ask is, of course, everything you've accomplished so far, how much of it is due to luck and how much is due to hard work?
It would be a bit of both, 100%. I think so. I heard something recently that struck me, and tell me if you think it. So it was Kerry Washington. She was saying that, you know, if you want to catch the bus, you got to run really fast and you got to pray hard, right? Because if you run really fast and you don't pray, it could have not been your bus.
Right.
If you pray and you don't run, you're definitely not catching the bus.
I like that.
And then if you run and you pray and you don't catch the bus, that wasn't your bus,
okay.
you know? So
Okay.
I feel like there's a mix of hard work
Yes.
and being at the right place at the right time, and hopefully like putting out good vibes and being nice. I hope that one of my goals in my life, I mean, I have a couple kids, so I hope that they see this in the future. I hope to achieve success and do so by being just nice the whole way. I think like this concept of like you have to be this and that to be good in business, I want to prove it completely wrong. So I think that a little bit of luck and a lot of hard work and the fusion, I hope that's what's going to take me to keep going higher and higher.
That's amazing. I love it. And you have been putting out amazingly good vibes, and you have been genuinely, authentically a nice person the whole way. And I think it's paying off, and I hope it does continue to. Thank you. I'm going to keep running for the bus and praying as well. I think I'm going to keep doing that.
That's it. A little bit of both.
Thank you so much, Claudine. I appreciate it. This is amazing, and I can't wait for the next one.
Me too.
Actually, let's quickly tease that one. We're going to talk about what in the next episode?
All things clean beauty. So everything you want to know in your practice to prescribe and recommend products that are going to stop hurting your patient's eyes. We're going to break it down, make it easy, go through different eye doctor created products, and just make it so that it's like a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
This is what you got to do.
I love it. And what we talked about, I thought was, because I'd love to talk about these things to my patients, but I'm not always that comfortable talking about makeup and stuff like that, as important as it is. So Claudine's going to give us, those of us who are not so comfortable talking about these things, the tips on how to bring it up and how to have these conversations with our patients. So really excited. That's going to be very different from any conversation I've had on the podcast before. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too.
Thank you again.
It's
been amazing.
Thank you so much.
And thank you everybody who's watching, listening, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you are. Thanks for tuning in to the 2020 Podcast, Canada's #1 optometry podcast. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next episode.